Hello and welcome back to all of my lovely subscribers, and welcome to my channel if you're new. My name's Catherine and this is my channel Soberton Bakery. Right, so today I thought I would treat you to a little tour of my sewing room. And to start off with, here's my lovely sign on my door that my lovely wife bought me as a Christmas present one year, and it says Catherine's Craft Room, because it's not just sewing that I love. I love a bit of knitting, and I also love doing sort of paper crafts and all sort of things like that. So yeah, but anyway, it's mostly sewing. So what I will do, I'm going to give you a little tour of the room. So let's go inside. So here is my lovely little room. Now what I'll do is I'll give you a quick spin around. Oh, ignore the carnage behind the door. And what I'll do is I will flip the camera around, and then I will explain to you lots of different parts in the room, and what I like to use them for, and yeah, any sort of special things that I've got in here that might be interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the tour. Right, so here we are. This is my lovely sewing room, or my craft room. Right, so I'm going to start from one side of the room and work my way around. So first of all, what have I got over here? So I've got my little mini ironing board and my iron, and I keep those there because I like to use them up on this table. So what I'll do is I'll stand back a bit and explain. So what this actually is an IKEA bed. And I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's one of those ones where you can pull out this bit here and it actually becomes a double bed. Now, for us to do that in this room, we would have to move my sewing desk. So yeah, we don't often use it as our spare bed because we are very lucky we do have another spare room. But just in case we ever need another spare bed, this is the spare bed. But what I decided to do a couple of years ago is I asked my mum and dad as a birthday present if they would buy me a massive piece of board, and we had it cut to size and delivered, and then it means now I can use this as a cutting table, and also I can use it as a table for doing my ironing or any other sewing projects, or even so cutting out is great up there, but yeah, various other jobs that you can do when you need a bit more space when you're sewing. So yeah, that's a little explanation for there. Right, so I will initially show you the muddle that is under the bed. So first of all, I must mention this gorgeous quilt. This quilt was made for me and my wife by our lovely friend Hannah. It was our wedding present, and yeah, she made this by hand. She's an absolute superstar, and yeah, we treasure it, and it goes on here and it makes it all look lovely. So thank you, Hannah. Right, and now on to the things under the bed. So under here, by my little sewing desk, so I sew here, just by here I keep a little box of bits and bobs that are quite useful. So I've got my notebooks that I have, and then I've got my bobbins here in cases. I also have a little pot here that's got pencils. It's got chalk pencil, normal pens for writing, and then I've also got a couple of Frixion pens, which are really useful for marking in sewing. Oh, and a little brush if I want to clean out my overlocker or my machine. And then also I have my little sharps jar. I can't remember where I saw this, or maybe I heard it on Love to Sew podcast. They said to keep a little jar with all your sharps in. So yeah, that's where I put my needles when they're, or pins when they're not very much use. So yeah, that's my little box of storage there. That's quite handy to have next to me when I'm sewing. And then under here, I've got all sorts of bits. So this is a Guthrie & Garney Sewing Society kit that I bought myself last Christmas, but I haven't sewn it up yet. It's the Bobby Pinafore, but I would like to make that this autumn. So you'll see that at some point in my plans. This is a pile of mending. Anybody else have a pile of mending in their sewing room that just sits there and sort of collects dust, and then eventually my son grows out of the stuff and I've never actually fixed it? But yeah, I must get on and fix it. I've got a few bits here. I've got some shorts for Sebastian. Love him. He's one of those lovely boys who's really lovely and skinny, and all his shorts always fall off his waist. So I need to adjust some of these shorts around the waist, and then I think these joggers need fixing, and then I've got a pair of dungarees of mine that I need to adjust slightly. So yeah, that's my pile of doom. Then under here are some fabrics that don't fit in my fabric storage because I have far too many fabrics. So yeah, there's a lovely selection of fabrics. I think I've shared that one recently, and this one too actually, in a fabric haul, and that one. So yeah, I've got some fabrics here that I can't fit in my usual stash, so they're sort of collecting over here. But yes, I don't need to fill this space, I need to use them up. So yeah, right, let's go back over to here. So I've got over here, yeah, as I said, my little ironing board. Then I've got my pattern curve ruler, and also up here I have a couple more rulers. Sorry, the light's a bit bad here because of the window. So yeah, I've got my oh, I can't remember what this one's called, but I use that a lot for adjusting patterns. It's got the 90 degrees marks on it and a curve, it's really useful. And then I also have a quilting ruler, which is very handy. And then on here, this is sort of my cutting station. So when I'm at the table here, I like to do my cutting. And up here, I've got all the little things that you need when you're cutting and sort of prepping and organising. So got my scissors up here, various scissors. These ones I love, but sadly they've become blunt. I can't use them, but I can't bear to, I don't know what to do with them, but equally, I need to get them sharpened, but I don't know where to. But I love them, so I'll keep them up there. These are my paper scissors, which are obviously very useful when you're doing patterns. Got bias binding makers. In here, I've got sort of bits that you would use for drawing on patterns or on for fabric. I've got chalk markers, Fix-On pens. In here, this is one of those ones that you use for when you're tracing out patterns with the carbon paper. I've got some chalk in there, clover marker, that's very useful. And then a prick stick for ever adjusting patterns, and also tape. That's quite useful for adjusting patterns. Then I've got my prim pliers, and then my rotary cutter, and then also I've got spare blades in there as well. Right, so that's little all done. Oh, and I must mention, and I've got my pins and needles here. Lots of various pins. I've got these nice little ergonomic pins. They're quite nice. But then also I've got other pins as well, and then this little needle minder case there. And I mustn't forget to mention this lovely bag. This is from my gorgeous friend Alex. She bought me that for my birthday. Yeah, it's lovely. It's really handy when you just want to take a few sewing bits away with you and somewhere. And yeah, really, really handy little bag. So yeah, and I love it. It's got a gorgeous Singer sewing machine on it and my name. Right, let's move on up here. Oh yeah, there's lovely Twizzler, a lovely doggy. He likes to appear in my sewing room. And then right over to the desk. So these lovely, lovely thread holders, my fabulous dad made. He made a couple for my mum, and then I saw them and I said, oh please may I have one of those, and he was really kind and made me too. And they're brilliant. They fit on Gutermann threads, and then also mum and I discovered that we've just got into the Mariflex thread, I'm sure lots of other people have heard of, but we can also fit a bobbin of the Mariflex on and then the spool of the thread, and just fits on. How handy is that? And then what else shall I show you? So I've got all my lovely, I like to keep the cards that I get from fabric orders, so I like to have those up there to inspire me. And then over here we've got lots of other pictures that are from our life and general bits that we like to keep up. There's gorgeous Sebastian when he was a baby. And then up here, this is sort of my pattern selection. So at the top here, these are PDF patterns which I've had printed. I was quite organised and started doing a labelling system where you can see the colours meant different things on the edges of the envelopes, but as you can see I've got quite a few up there that have not been labelled. Then I've got my overlocker threads. Then these are patterns, I've got indie patterns in this, and they're indie patterns too that I haven't managed to fit in the box. And then these are the big 4 patterns that I have in there. Then I've got my poppers and snaps in there, and then in these boxes I've got things like zips and cord and hooks and eyes, things like that. And that is actually the table I think for the overlocker that I never use in the manual. Then here I've got children's patterns, and then in here these are just tins that have elastic, various different types of elastic in it. So yeah, I think that's that side of the room. And then over to this edge of the table I've got all my buttons in these jars, various different types of buttons. And then this is just my little pile of to-dos that was just in my recent plans video. And then in here are some more things that are cut out and ready to go that I need to get on with, or I cut out a while ago and haven't finished. So yeah, that's my UFO sort of bucket, but there are more hiding in another box in here, that UFO cupboard of doom. But yeah, they're the ones I want to get on with sooner rather than later. And then I might just flip you round for the next bit, so hold on a minute. Right, so I thought I'd flip you round for this next bit because you had quite a lot of staring at the other bits. Right, so what I thought I'd do is just explain this corner of the room. So in this corner it's just loads of like bits and stuff, like bags and bits that we need to hide. So yeah, they just still day behind there. Right, and then over here is my sewing space. So what I'll do is I will, I might just flip you back round again because actually I think it's easier for me to explain stuff when I'm looking at it rather than it being behind me. So yeah, let me flip you round again. Sorry, so much flipping around. Right, so back to the sewing table. So here's my sewing table, and I have this lovely like swivelly chair that my mum and dad gave me. My mum and dad, I don't know where they got it from, but they didn't want it anymore, so they gave it to me. And yeah, I love this little swivelly chair. It's very handy for when you want to get up from the table and then go over to do a bit of ironing and then go back to the table. So yeah, I love the chair. And then these are my machines. So I have a Brother 34D. That's my overlocker. I do really like it, but I upgraded that from the Singer that I got from Lidl a while ago. Or actually my mum got from Lidl a while ago. And actually I think maybe I should have jumped up a couple more levels because I think this is still quite a basic model. And I have found that I've had to replace the blades once already, and I've only had it a year and a bit. So yeah, but I do get on with it well. And I'm mastering overlocking so much more than I used to. And then this is my machine, which is a Britannia Install 65, and I really like this model. My mum and dad, they were very kind to give me some money a few Christmases ago, and I upgraded from my old Janome to this one. And yeah, it's really good. It's got a load of settings up there. I like to keep the needles in that I'm currently using in there, so I know what needle I've got on. And yeah, I've just got my pins up here. Sometimes I move those out of the way though, but sometimes it's quite handy to have them there. And this is just my current project, which is my Lyra dress. It's coming along. And then on the table I have my little wheelie bin, which my son loves, with little wheels. A wheelie bin, and then in there I just put all my loose threads when I'm sewing. And then in this basket I've just got, there's some more pins at the back, and then I've got my sewing plans book, and then when I've just done with the pattern pieces I'm chucking them in there. That's a new method I'm using, and it seems to be working quite well. So yeah, and then I can put them away when I finish with the pattern. And up on this board here I've got lots of bits that are just quite handy to use. So at the top I've got frayed check, and that's a button thingy for doing covered buttons. Then this pot I've got unpickers, and I've got, that's a little, this is really handy actually, this is a glue pen for when you want to do labels. I've got a tin of labels in here, and I've got a bit of bias binding behind there. And then this pot I've got quite handy things. So I've got the Rulu loop turner, and then more loop turners, a seam gauge, that's really handy, my scissors that I keep on a ribbon to go around my neck, it's quite handy, another tape measure, this little cute little robin on the Silco thread. My mum gave me that for Christmas one year. It's really lovely. And then I've got this little rainbow motif that I need to put on something. Oh, and then these are very handy little scissors. I think they're called duck-billed scissors, but they're for when you want to grade seams. And yeah, I keep those on there because they're quite handy to have whilst you're sewing. Then, oh, I forgot to bring the other tin up. I know I'd forget to do that. Honestly, I've been manically tidying and cleaning this room for this video, and I knew I'd forget to bring them up. Yeah, normally in there I have a little tin of, or drawer like this, of clips. I've got ribbons in here and labels, and then in here I've got all my sewing needles. So I keep all the different needles in there. It's quite handy to have them at the sewing machine ready. So that's quite handy. And then this is a thing that you use for darning, but it normally goes in a pot that I've got here that I've taken downstairs too. I'm sewing downstairs this weekend because we're making a cart for when we go to Carfest. More on that another time. Anyway, and then on to my fabric stash. So this is my fabric stash, well, the other bit of it. And I've seen other people do this, and that you fold them so they fit exactly in the boxes. There's no particular order here, they're all just a bit of a muddle, but I have got some lovely pieces in there that I really need to get on and use. And I think maybe one day I might do a little run through my fabric stash and maybe pick out some of my favourites that I really should get on and make. So yeah, that'll be another video. And then up here are just some bits and bobs. I've got bottles and jars for when I do Christmas presents and things, cutters, and then in here I've got it says patterns and ribbons, but that's actually a lie. I think it's ribbons and offcuts of fabric. And then this is just sort of card making stuff. And then also here I've got my sewing books, which I do use every so often. And then lots of boxes here which have got lots of random bits in, so I'm not going to go through those. Also, I must go, I'll show you this because my grandma really wanted me to see this. So on here, I don't know if you can see it all the way down and all the way up. I've got strings here, and on the strings I've got a little swatch of most of my fabrics in my stash. To be honest, it's not all of my fabrics in my stash. And they used to be on the wall here, like a washing line. But I had a little change around of my room because the space wasn't working very well. The bed used to be on that wall, and my desk used to be there next to the window. But we think this is a better layout now. But yeah, they used to be over there. But it's quite nice. So my plan is that, well, the idea was when I started this, is that I'd have a little swatch of each fabric. And then as I used them, I'd unclip them and then put any new fabrics on there. And my idea was that if I used one, I could then buy a new fabric. But as you can see, that plan did not work. Look at the stash under there. So yeah, that I had to show you. Oh yeah, and I also have this little dressmaker's chalk for when you want to level your hems. And then I must show you, because let's face it, not everything is perfect. This is my bag of scraps. So I have a bin bag in my room. Not everything's perfect. Behind here, I also have a roll of brown paper, and that's my pattern paper there. And then in these drawers, that drawer's got cake stuff in, so I'm not going to show you that. It's loads of cake decorating stuff. And then in here are my drawers of, these are big scraps, not very well organised. And then in this drawer, I have got scraps that I think I can make into either reusable face cloths, which is a little project of mine that I want to start doing and selling in the village, and hairbands. So yeah, they're all scraps of fabric that I think would be good for that. So yeah, I think that is the sewing room tour done. I can't think of anything else to show you. Right, so I hope you really enjoyed that. Oh, hold on, am I recording? Yes, I am recording. Sorry. Oh, well, anyway, I hope you really enjoyed that little tour. I think I've shown you all the bits that are in this room. That I think are useful for sewing people to see. If there is anything though that you spotted in my room that you think, oh, what's that? What, and can I give a bit more explanation? Then yeah, please do ask me. Oh, I've just realised something that I should show you. Hold on. Oh dear me, silly me. I forgot to show you on my cutting table this fabulous book my mum gave me. Has anybody else got one of these? It's the Gutermann thread guide, and in it has all, I'm not going to show you very well because I'm holding the camera as well. It has all the colours, and then you can match up the threads, and it even tells you which threads they do in which colours. So whether they do the Mariflex thread, or if they do the normal threads, or yeah, and what length threads they do. So yeah, really, really handy. So that was, my mum got me that. It was really handy. Anyway, sorry, jumping about here. But anyway, if there is anything else that you would like me to explain or anything you'd like me to go through, please let me know and I will try and sort that out for you. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you're really well. I should have done a little recap at the beginning, but I forgot to do that. But I'm well and had a good week. I'm back to work now, so everything's sort of back to normal, out of holiday mode, although Sebastian's still off school. But yeah, he's having a lovely time with mummy. But yeah, that's, I suppose, a little life update. But yeah, if there's anything else that you want to find out, let me know. Please like and subscribe and comment down below. And it was lovely to show you my room. And yeah, I will see you next week. Bye, lovelies.